Imagine walking into a grocery store and witnessing something so heartbreaking, it shakes your soul and makes you rethink your entire life. That's exactly what happened to a man named David, a wealthy chief financial officer who had everything money could buy, yet deep inside, he carried a loneliness that no luxury could heal. And what he did next, after crossing paths with a struggling single mother, changed not only her life, but his own forever. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because stories like this remind us that even the smallest act of kindness can transform lives, and you won't want to miss the ones we share next. David lived a life of numbers. His days were filled with endless meetings, balance sheets, and corporate decisions. On the outside, he looked like a man who had conquered life, tailored suits, a luxury car, a penthouse in the city. But once the office doors closed and he returned home, silence wrapped around him like a heavy blanket. His marriage had ended years ago, and he had no children. Nights were spent scrolling through emails or staring at the ceiling, wondering if all his success meant anything at all. One rainy evening, exhausted from work, David decided to stop at a local supermarket to pick up something simple for dinner. He wasn't used to such places, his assistant normally handled shopping, but tonight he wanted to feel normal. As he walked through the aisles, his sharp eyes caught a scene that made him stop in his tracks. At the register stood a young woman, clutching a small baby to her chest. Her clothes were worn, her face pale with fatigue, and her hands trembled as she placed a can of baby formula on the counter. The cashier scanned it, and the price flashed on the screen. The woman pulled out a few crumpled bills and loose coins, counting carefully. Her eyes filled with shame when the total didn't add up. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the cashier said softly. "You're still short." The mother bit her lip and glanced down at her child, who whimpered as if sensing the tension. With tears brimming in her eyes, she whispered, "It's okay. I'll return it." Slowly, she pushed the formula back across the counter and held her baby tighter, trying to shush his cries. David felt his heart crack wide open. In that moment, all the empty boardroom victories and million-dollar deals in his life seemed meaningless compared to the quiet suffering of this woman. He stepped forward without hesitation. "Wait," he said, his deep voice surprising even himself. The mother turned, startled. David pulled out his wallet and handed his card to the cashier. "Please put the formula back. And everything else she needs tonight. On me." The mother's lips trembled. I can't let you do that, sir." "Yes, you can," David replied gently. "Because no child should go hungry." Tears rolled down her face as the cashier rang up the purchase. David noticed that aside from the formula, she had only picked a small loaf of bread and a carton of milk. Nothing else. His chest tightened. How long had she been surviving like this? After they left the store, David introduced himself. Her name was Sarah. She was 26, and her husband had abandoned her when she was 3 months pregnant. She had no family nearby, and her part-time job barely covered rent, let alone baby essentials. They sat together on a bench outside, the rain now a light drizzle. David listened as Sarah shared her struggles, and for the first time in years, he truly felt human connection. She wasn't asking for pity, she was simply sharing her truth, and it moved him in ways he couldn't explain. The next day, David couldn't stop thinking about her. During meetings, his mind wandered back to Sarah's weary smile and her baby's innocent eyes. That night, instead of going home to his empty penthouse, he went to the store again, this time with bags of groceries, diapers, and formula. He knocked on Sarah's door. When she opened it, she was shocked. "Mr. David, you didn't have to." "I know I didn't," he interrupted gently. "But I wanted to." Over the next weeks, David kept checking in. He helped her find better childcare, introduced her to contacts who offered her a stable job, and even taught her some basic financial skills. Slowly, Sarah's life began to change. She could breathe again. She could smile again. But something else happened too. David, who had been lonely for so long, found his heart healing. Spending time with Sarah and her baby reminded him of the family he never had. Their laughter filled the void in his life, and soon, what started as an act of kindness grew into something much deeper. Of course, challenges came. Sarah worried about being a burden. She feared people would think she was using him. David battled his own doubts. Was he truly helping, or was he trying to fix his loneliness through her? But they talked, they cried, they grew. Through honesty and patience, they built trust. Months later, Sarah stood in her small but cozy apartment, which was now filled with warmth and stability, holding her baby as David sat beside them. The little one reached for him, giggling, and David's eyes softened. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging. "David," Sarah whispered, "you saved us." "No," he replied with emotion, "you saved me." And that's the message I want you to take away today. Kindness is never wasted. Sometimes, when we reach out to help someone else,